Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this meeting of the Planning and Development Council of the Town of Oakville. And I see we have no regrets this evening. Everyone seems to be here. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Councillor Ilger?
Yes, I'll declare an interest in item number 3 since I have a family member who works for Canif.
Thank you. Would two councillors like to provide a motion and a second to resolve in the Committee of the Whole? Councillor Lapworth, Councillor Duddock, all in favor? Opposed, if any? We are in Committee of the Whole, and you have before you consent items 1 and 2. Consent item is a subdivision agreement for Monarch Phase 6, and item 2 is the Pineberry West Phase 3. The chair looks for guidance from Councillor Duddock.
Motion to approve both of them, please.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Those items are adopted. We have no confidential consent item, but we do have a public hearing item, and if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submission to the town of Oakville in respect of a proposed official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment, and or plan of subdivision or condominium, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of Town Council to the Ontario Municipal Board and may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Municipal Board unless, in the opinion of the Board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. And for this item, we have a public meeting report, and we're going to recognize the Planning Director, Ms. Dana Anderson, to start.
Thank you, Mayor and members of Council. For this matter this evening, Paul Demchak, who is a planner with our East District Planning team, will be providing the presentation this evening. Paul has been with us since March of this year. He came to us from Whitby, and I believe this is the first time he'll be presenting before Council, so I'd like to introduce Paul to you.
On behalf of Council, welcome. We look forward to your report.
Good evening, Mayor Burton, members of Council. The town is in receipt of a zoning bylaw amendment application by Canif Group of Companies to permit a drive-through bank and office uses. The property is located at 2680 Sheridan Garden Drive. Surrounding the property to the north include a small park, as well as residential single detached dwellings. To the south of the property include a commercial plaza consisting of retail, office, restaurant, and service commercial uses. And to the east of the property is the city Mississauga, which includes semi-detached and townhouse dwellings. This slide shows a current view of the site from Sheridan Garden Drive. As you see, there's currently an existing gas bar canopy, which is no longer in use. This view is from Winston Churchill Boulevard. Staff also note that a previous application to permit the use of a car wash has been withdrawn by the applicant. The current plan is for an approximate 4,500 square foot bank, which includes 27 parking spaces and drive-through banking services. There is also an existing driveway currently located on Sheridan Garden Drive. Excuse me, there's two current driveways on Sheridan Garden Drive, with the one furthest to the east to be closed. The site will be accessed from 3 vehicular access points: a right-in, right-out access off Sheridan Garden Drive, a right-in, right-out access from Winston Churchill Boulevard, as well as an access point from the south from the existing commercial plaza. These are current concept plans that have been submitted by the applicant showing the proposed bank. A future site plan application would be required to deal with the matters such as landscaping, building elevations, and pedestrian connections. The lands are designated as neighborhood commercial on Schedule J of Livable Oakville Plan. Uses include a range of retail and service commercial uses. The lands are currently zoned C6 commercial with special provision 497, which permits the gas bar and propane transfer facility. Staff also note that bylaw 2008-177, which deals with drive-through facilities, is not applicable to the subject property. The next steps for this application could complete analysis of the application, as well as providing a recommendation report to future Planning and Development Council meeting. For this report, staff recommends that comments from the public with respect to zoning bylaw amendment application be received. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your report. Are there members of the public with information for council on this file? You don't have to be shy. No? I'll confine it to table. I'll look to Ward 3. Councillor Bird.
I'll move the recommendation. As you know, Your Worship, this site, in trying to find a suitable use for it because of its, I guess, the geometry and the area of the road and the regional road next door has been kind of a long journey. I'm pleased there seems to be a lot of support for this because this is the first time I think we've had a public meeting for this use out that none of the residents showed up. And I don't think there's been any input here. I have not had any call on this whatsoever on this use. Certainly the Shell gas station / car wash created some interest in the community, and there seems to be acceptance. So we'll go to the next phase, and I'm assuming that there'll be I take that as a buy-in for this use. So I'm pleased to support it. Go to the next phase.
Thank you, Councillor Bird. Councillor Giddings, anything?
Well, it's mentioned in the report, thank you, Your Worship, that there was nobody that attended the open house in August. We did meet on site with the applicants and the executive of the local residents association, and we have the letter saying they're in full support. So all is good.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item is received. Thank you very much, Council, and thank you very much, Paul. The next item on our agenda is the discussion item, item 4, notice of intention to demolish 88 Howard Avenue. And how do you wish to proceed? Councillor Johnston.
I'll move it. Don't need
Councillor
that report.
Johnston moves receipt of the report dated August 10th from Planning Services regarding the notice of intent to demolish for 88 Howard Avenue. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? It is carried. That brings us to item number 5, the recommendation report for the draft plan of condominium for Ashley Oaks Emporium on Prince Michael Drive. The recommendation is that the Director of Planning Services give approval to the draft plan of condominium submitted by Ashley Oaks Emporium, subject to the conditions included in Appendix A. I believe that's Ward 6. Councillors?
I believe staff have a presentation. Could we see it, please?
Yes, you can. The presentation is available if you wish, and Heinz Hecht is here to give it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This is an application by Ashley Oaks for a draft plan of condominium approval for a recently constructed 8-story apartment building, including 44 multiple attached townhouse units. The property is located on the west side of Prince Michael, just south of Dundas Street. In terms of the official plan and zoning, the lands are designated high-density residential in the official plan. With respect to the zoning bylaw, the lands are zoned a site-specific R8, and the lands have been constructed, the development's been constructed in accordance with the zoning bylaw. The development was subject to a detailed site plan approval process, and the site has been constructed in accordance with the approved site plan for Phase 1. There will be a future application for the balance of the lands, Phase 2, at a later date. The financial obligations of the developer have been addressed as part of the site plan approval, and sufficient securities are in place to ensure completion of the project. And staff recommend that the application be approved, subject to conditions outlined in Appendix A. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Hecht. Are there questions? Councillor Adams.
I note there's a requirement on the, from Canada Post with respect to location of community mailboxes and so forth. Can you provide any additional information about that location and how that's going to be satisfied?
The Canada Post mailbox locations are determined as part of the site plan application, and it's internal to the site for the most part. Is there further information that you're looking for in terms of?
Can you remind us where that is and if there's a interim position where that is as a result of the phasing?
Unfortunately, I don't have the answer to that, Councillor. I can get back to you on that, but I will look at the site plan and determine that. Typically, there would be a separate location for the Phase 2 development, but we can confirm that for you.
But it's all internal to the site?
It'd be internal to the site, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? Then, Councillor, if there are no others, would one of you gentlemen from Ward 6 like to provide us with direction?
Yeah, I'll move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. It's moved by Councillor Adams. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And it's adopted. That brings us to the advisory committee minutes, and the recommendation is that we approve the recommendations pertaining to item 6A of the Heritage Oakville Advisory Committee minutes from the August 9th meeting, and that the remainder of the minutes be received. Councillor Knoll.
I'll give you that motion, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Knoll. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that is adopted. We need a motion to rise and report to council. Councillor Elgar, thank you for that. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. I rise and report that the Committee of the Whole has met and has made recommendations on consent items 1 and 2, public hearing item 3, discussion items 4 and 5, and advisory committee minutes item 6, as noted by the clerk. I would entertain a mover and a seconder for this report. Councillor Johnston, Councillor Robinson, all in favor? Opposed? The report is adopted. Council, do any of you have new business of an emergency, congratulatory, or condolence nature? Thank you. I wonder if we could have a mover and seconder for a reading of the bylaws. Councillor Grant and Councillor Knoll, thank you. This would be authority for bylaw 2011-91 and 2011-103. All in favor? Opposed? The bylaws are adopted. That finishes our agenda. Thank you for your time and attention, and we are adjourned.